believe we're referring to the Banshees. They do. They can still just end the game, as we saw. they just end the game. The invisible flying machine back. It's pretty good. And here we go. We're getting into our next matchup, into our next best of 3, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Frostline, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is SHIN. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the other South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Team Falcons. It is Rogue. And alas, these are the final 2 Zerg players left in the tournament. Only one can have a chance to represent the Zerg race here in the remainder of OlimoLeague. Who's it going to be? Will it be Rogue? Will it be SHIN? At least we do confirm one Zerg player in the lower bracket round 2. I mean, there's at least that. True. So we'll have a little bit of diversity in tomorrow's broadcast. For now, we do have our initial hatch gas pool opener out of SHIN. Meanwhile, gas first. Gas pool opener out of Rogue. Hyper aggression here from our Zerg player. With the fast gas, what does this mean? This means fast link speed. Fast link speed, this can lead into a Ling Flood. This can lead into a Bane Bust, depending on if we throw down an early Bane Nest as well. Regardless, a very aggressive, very assertive start here from Rogue. And we'll see if SHIN can keep up. Yeah, oh good. Energy for everything. True. Oh good. Now then, here we go. As the Overlord should confirm the Lings as they move out. So far, only 2. Queen is on the way. Yep, there's fast link speed. And this is the most important thing. It's not the link speed, it's this. We're staying in gas. This screams Bane Bust. As we're staying in gas here, we are not pulling back into minerals. More gas going to be available. Lings are going to be backing up. And SHIN, he will realize that something is wrong when he sees the lack of expansion. Remember, he already has a base. He already has creep showing that as well. And SHIN, he confirms, no creep. No creep already. The base just now finishing. And we'll see how SHIN responds. Because all this really tells SHIN is pull first. That's all he knows. It is all he knows. It's a later expansion, pull first. He doesn't know how committed this is, and that is so much gas. Now I would have assumed this was for a Bailey Nest, but we have so much gas to work with here. Are we doing something different? He's droning. Is he going for Lings into a fast lair? Are we waiting for the Queen and going 2 base Muta? Oh god. Potentially. Lings, they get shut down, they get zoned away. SHIN scout is denied. And are we going for the lair? What's it gonna be? Yep, oh my, he's going 2 base, he's crazy. Gas first, Ling speed into 2 base Muta. Oh my god, okay, let's go. Now, I'm assuming 2 base Muta, but technically this could be like Ling Queen Nidus, I guess. But he's still droning. Yeah, he's droning up. He's not making more Lings. And SHIN is walling up. Yeah, SHIN is terrified. He believes, I mean, I don't blame him. He believes it should be a Bane Bust or an all-in of some kind. So SHIN is fully walled up and Rogue is droning. The mind games! Let's go. The mind games are real. SHIN, as a result, is going to be falling behind tech-wise. And Rogue is droning up as heavily as he can. And we need a scout. The lair just now is beginning here for SHIN. Now, because the lair is so late, this means that the Overseer Scout is going to be late as well. So, late Overseer Scouts, which means I believe Rogue should get away with the Mutas. And the Lings, they only have map control. Oh, despite that, SHIN, he does somehow thread the needle. He avoids the speed Lings. He comes in for the scout. He needs to go into the main. And the Queens are in position. Does get eyes on the gas. Big scout, he knows. Already, 2 gases at the natural is a big scout here for SHIN. As there's no reason for these gases unless it is 2 base Muta. Like, you could argue these gases could be for roaches, but then there'd be a roach warren here. There should be a roach warren at the wall. So SHIN, for the most part, he has confirmed what's happening. I mean, technically, there could be a hidden roach warren, but like he's, you know, in his mind, he's like, you know, crossing off like this checklist of things that it could be. For now, though, his own layer is done. Saturating on 2 bases, getting to Link speed, Overseer Scout for Rogue, and so far no Overseer Scout here from SHIN. As he responds with his own Spire, which is scouted, Rogue, he sees the Spire. He knows. Both players going Muta. Of course, Rogue much faster. His Spire is almost done. And SHIN is taking a third. He's taking a third base. Bold move. We'll see if Rogue can deny it. Remember, SHIN has no link speed. Like, this is so greedy. Like, taking this third base is wild. But Rogue, he doesn't respond. SHIN is moving out, trying to keep the pressure on Rogue to force him back home. SHIN, he sees the third base from his opponent. He's the one moving out. He's the one being activated here. We have 8 mutas in production, plus 1 air attack as well. So Rogue, he's going to be maintaining that air superiority. SHIN diving in. Now, does SHIN go Corruptor first? That would be crazy. Oh, as he should not force a cancel. Yeah, rough engage here from SHIN. Going to be forced back. Mutas are revealed. Now, SHIN, he should know he's down in mutas. He's down in upgrades. Still going Muta. Okay, still going Muta, going for his own plus... Oh, there we go, plus 1 carapace. Correct move. This is the better upgrade if you know that you're behind in the Muta count. You do want carapace. Meanwhile, he's being surrounded, being overwhelmed. And Rogue, he wants that third. That's what he wants, and he's on it. Third base under fire. Muta's hunting down more overlords. And SHIN, I don't know if he can save this. But now zoning back the Lings. Now SHIN, he cannot fight these mutas head on as he is down in mutas. And there's going to be a window where Rogue has +1 and SHIN has 0/0. Rogue, yeah, he wants to fight. He wants the mutas. Is diving in. Oh, pulls away for now. Bringing his army together. Does consolidate his forces. Now, SHIN will have the queen advantage, where he will have queens to help support himself alongside spores as well. Rogue rotating back into the main. Oh, zoned away by the queens. Lings, they poke in. SHIN, he's holding. Not bad. I would have assumed Rogue was going to come in with everything together here, but no, going for a split push instead, and that means that he's that much weaker. And SHIN holds. SHIN holds. Rogue has that upgrade advantage. SHIN's still waiting for his own +1. And Rogue, he pulls back to deal with these Lings. And SHIN, he's stabilized. Well, he's getting there. It's still very tense. Still a very tense game state. There we go. Headed towards that third. Main armies do clash. Rogue does have the advantage. Yeah, he's up in mutas, but here come the queens. Yeah, the queens, they respond. And with help of these queens, SHIN holds. SHIN does hold. Oh, the queens are surrounded there. The queens are fully surrounded. And Rogue, he should be able to overwhelm. I was waiting. Where were the Lings? Lings out of position. They weren't here to support. Without the Lings, then the queens, they're not for this world. They're not long for this world, Pappy. Mutas, they break the third base. At the same time, SHIN going for a massive run by. Will hit the natural. Likewise, picking up queens, potentially. Here it does dive on the queens. Will break through. Third base goes down. Rogue is in the main. He's pushing towards the natural as well. Spore will help. But Rogue still has a massive muta advantage. And he should take this fight. Still quite close. Again, there are muta reinforcements stuck back at home. SHIN, he's trying to hold on, but just doesn't have the numbers. Doesn't have them. Down to 3 mutas. Down to 2. Down to 1. Down to 0. As reinforcements trickle in, GG gets called, and Rogue, he will take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. SHIN, he was so close to stabilizing. Again, I was shocked to see that SHIN went for a massive Ling counterattack. Because the Lings at the end of the game were going for a counterattack, the queens had no support. And the queens got surrounded immediately. And without those queens, he could not stop. He could not stop the flock of mutas coming his way. GG, well played. Rogue takes a lead in the series. Off of a crazy build. Let's go. And now we're jumping into game number 2. Jumping to game 2, it's going to be on ley lines. incoming Nidus. As we mentioned when we were like trying to figure out what was going on, because of the drones that were on the way, that's the reason why we said 2-base Muta. If it was a Nidus all-in, then we wouldn't have seen drones from Rogue. So the lack of Ling flood, the lack of additional Ling production was what tipped us up. But here we go. We're getting into our next game. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of ley lines, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Team Falcons, leading the series 1-0. It is Rogue. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the Red Zerg player. For Gaiman Gladiators, it is SHIN. But really impressive play there by SHIN, because even though like it took him a long time to figure out what was going on, his response was actually quite solid. And again, if he hadn't gone for that Ling flood, or that Ling run by, I should say, at the end of the game, if he had stayed defensively, most likely the game continues. Most likely we get into a 3-base economy and we look to secure our bases and maybe even max out. The game would have gone on from there. It was just because he had moved out across the map, it meant that he was vulnerable, and Rogue, once he saw that one moment of weakness, he just went for it. Just went for the kill. GG. GG, well played. This time, Hatch Gas Pool. Standard opener out of Rogue, likewise standard opener out of SHIN. This time, there's no crazy early link speed, there's nothing wild. Not this time. But the pressure is on SHIN. The pressure is on. I will do this build at some point. Copian. Copian. Nah. I'm a very standard player. I say that I have been trying to learn the Eric build. True, true. But that's also macro, so have been trying to learn it. When I say trying to learn it, I mean improvise and try to make it look like the Eric build with mixed success. Regardless, we're settling in, and so far just droning. We have a couple of links on the way. Link speed on the horizon, as Rogue should be commencing link speed. Uh-oh. Link speed is not being researched. I imagine this is intentional. Roaches? Macro hatch, 2-base. Okay, he's going 2-base play instead. Gonna be walling up. Again, no link speed whatsoever. This should be a 2-base roach all in, and we should be walling off at the natural. As for now, SHIN is getting his own third. Rogue being active. And Rogue will soon be walling up. Likewise, getting scouting information himself. So far, just a standard setup at a SHIN. Just hatch gas pool into a third. One SHIN confirms that there is no Baneliness and that there is no third base. SHIN, he should be skipping his Baneliness himself. And yep, there we go. Evo Chamber. So we're going straight into Roaches. So far, a good response here by SHIN. As SHIN, he confirms no expansion. Dips in. And gets eyes on the wall. So Rogue is playing 2-base here. And it is going to be an all-in, as we have Carapace, not range on the way. So this should be this is kind of like a variation on the Solar build. For those that are curious, Solar, he did popularize, and he actually, this is the era, this is a couple of years ago, back when Solar was the Serral Slayer, and he had like beaten Serral like 4 series in a row. It was crazy. Off of the back of this as well. This was back in the, was it Oceanborn? No. Yeah, the Oceanborn map pool. And I think the map pool before that as well. Meanwhile, SHIN, he's not droning. Oh my god. SHIN, his cutting work is at 27, and Roaches are amassing as well. SHIN is going for his all-in, and so is Rogue. Rogue is massing up Ling Roach, so is SHIN. Who do I favor in this kind of position here? As Link speed is on the way to reinforce. Again, purely just Roach Ling. I mean, actually, right now, at least pure Ling from Rogue. No Roach production whatsoever. No Roaches. Not yet. SHIN is going to be the first to push. Now, because SHIN skipped his Bailey Nest, it does mean that these Roaches are vulnerable to a surround. Rogue can overwhelm. It's possible. So he's pushing. Again, Carapace will help when it comes to preserving these Lings. And it's just pure Ling out of Rogue. SHIN trying to force his way in. But Rogue, he's ready for this again. He has a sea of lings. The SimCity's gonna be working against him. Knocking down that Eva chamber. Rogue biding his time. 16 more lings in production. And the army gets baited in. He wants to surround. He collapses on the army. Does lock him down. He's stuck. He's trapped. He gets a full surround. And the roaches are going to be falling. Takes out the roaches. Takes out the ravagers. And SHIN, he will lose everything. Oh my god. We'll lose it all. And SHIN, he's in trouble behind this. He has no economy. He has no setup. He's making roaches. Here comes Rogue's Ling Flood. Again, no roaches behind this whatsoever. Carapace is done. And he's pulling the trigger. He does send it. SHIN, he was baited in. Let's go. Let us go. Oh, once again surrounding the queens. Yeah, the queens will fall. And SHIN just can't keep up. He's down in upgrades. The link should overwhelm. And SHIN, he cannot escape. Not like this, not with that SimCity. As he will lose every single roach. Rogue, he's got some builds, Pappy. Game 1 and in Game 2. Crazy. And GG gets called. Rogue, he overwhelms. He will take the series 2-0, knocking SHIN out of the tournament. GG. Let's go. GG, well played. Honestly, really fascinating builds out of SHIN. Sorry, out of Rogue. Once again, winding it back, going gas first in Game 1. He went gas first, gas into ling speed into 6 lings to have a presence on the map and to bait his opponent into walling off and droning behind it. It was crazy, like 6 lings into just droning into 2-base Muta was really smart play out of Rogue and just really working against what the build entails. Because remember, SHIN, he was getting ready for an all-in. An all-in that never came. Here in Game 2, it was really cool. He was kind of like faking out a Ling Roach all-in. If you remember, that's what I called it. I was referring to like a variation on a solo build. I said variation because of the macro hatchery. The macro hatchery was a tell that I didn't latch onto until we saw it in full swing. Like the roaches were a bait as well. Like he was faking like Roach Ling when it was really just mass Ling. It was just mass Ling out of Rogue. And he baited SHIN into that natural, baited the surround as well. SHIN just exposed himself and Rogue took full advantage. It was really, really, like a lot of mind games, I should say, just really smart build, just because he kind of baited that response out of SHIN. And SHIN was expecting roaches. He was not expecting a Ling Flood. It was crazy. So really well done. GG, well played. Again, these 2 builds that I just saw out of Rogue, actually haven't seen before. But it could also be because, in general, it's been a while since we've actually like regularly casted ZvZs amongst the Koreans, because we just don't get ZvZs anymore. Like we just don't get them. I think the last ZvZ we casted was in KSL Dark versus Rogue, like 3 weeks ago, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. We casted Dark versus Rogue. Like outside of that, we don't really get many ZvZs anymore, because I mean, there's the Zerg players are few and far between. But yeah, GG, really fun builds here by Rogue, just completely just catching SHIN off guard, and congratulations, Rogue does advance on into the next round. Let's go. Does advance on, and that leads us here into our next game. That leads us here into our final series of the night. It's going to be Cure versus Creator.